Right now we're live. I'm gonna remove my video and let us begin this, okay? Good. So the first thing I'm gonna do is create an instance, right? I'm gonna create an instance and what's going on here? Okay, there's something wrong with my, okay, so I was logged in, it locked me out. Don't know why, but it did, right? So perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to EC2, right? Go to the EC2 dashboard, and I'm going to create, like I said, we're going to create an instance, right? I'm not going to attach the systems manager role. The instance is not going to be visible anywhere in the systems manager console. I'm going to create 20 instances. I'm going to attach the role. I'm going to be able to see them in systems manager, right? In the fleet manager section. I'm going to pretend that I never, or I forgot to add or to install an Apache server in my instances. I'm going to use Systems Manager to install the Apache server in the 20 instances at once, right? Which is very tedious if you have to do it one by one. I'm going to do it all of them at once, right? I'm going to, before I do all that, I'm going to put the instances behind a classical balancer, right? I'm going to SSH in one of the instances before I install the Apache server. I'm going to show you the metadata, what are the things that we can get from the metadata, and then I'm going to create a script getting some metadata, right? The ones that we've done before, like yum, install, HTTPD, and then we're going to get some metadata from there, okay? And then we're going to test it later. Let's see what happens, right? So let me create one instance real quick, which I'm going to terminate immediately when I test it. And you see, guys, that it's not visible in System Manager. So I'm not going to go through the steps because I don't care. I'm going to review and launch, okay? And that's it. The instance is launched. All right. So now we see here that the instance is in the pending state right now. Let's see when it runs. I'm going to go ahead and open another tab here, and I'm going to look for Systems Manager, which is here, right? So you can type it in the search bar, and you can see it there. Right? So my instance right now is still pending, right? It's running now. Now, no matter how many times I go here to the Fleet Manager and I refresh and refresh and refresh, I won't see anything, okay? So I can get started. I don't see any instance here. They're not managed, right? Managed means that they contain the role that makes it possible for Systems Manager to manage the instances. That's why they're called managed instances. Remember, guys, an EC2 instance is not a managed service, right? It's unmanaged. But in Systems Manager, we call them managed because Systems Manager can manage it once it's there, right? So no matter how many times you refresh here, you will not be able to see it. It doesn't show because it doesn't have the role that allows that. It doesn't show, right? Now, I'm going to delete it because I already showed you. I don't want to have an instance running without purpose, right? So the first thing that I have to do is go to IAM, right? I'm going to go to IAM, and in IAM, I'm going to create a role, right? A role that allows for my instances to be seen by Mr. Systems Manager. So row here, row, click on row, and now we create a role. So what service is going to assume the role? Well, an EC2 instance is the one that's going to use the role, right? We're going to attach it to an EC2 instance. So we're going to go here and click on EC2, right? And we click next permissions to add the policy that is needed for that, okay? So I'm going to type SSM. And by the way, SSM is the short for systems manager. Okay, whenever you see SSM, that's systems manager. I'm going to go ahead and select this one, Amazon EC2 role for SSM. Okay, so let me take a look at that policy. So that policy allows SSM get document, describe document, all EC2 acknowledge, delete, fail, get endpoint, get messages, apply CloudWatch, a lot of things that you can do with EC2 instances, okay? So now that I have that particular policy, right? That particular policy that was selected already, right? I'll go here. So the policy was selected right here. I can go ahead and hit next tags, right? So I'm not gonna have any tags here. That's optional. Review. So I have this particular policy here, Amazon EC2 role for SSM. So I'm gonna give you the same name. EC2 role for SSM, okay? Or maybe demo EC2 role for SSM. Okay, that's gonna be the name of the role. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and create the role. Okay, so this allows EC2 instances to call AWS services on your behalf. Okay, create the role. Now the role has been created. It's right here, right? I can explore this role, right? And see the policy that it has attached, everything that can be done here, right? So now I'm ready to create the 20 instances and add that role, okay? Attach the role. Go back to the EC2 dashboard. I'm gonna select the AMI. I'm going to select the T2.micro. That's my free tier eligible instance type. Now here, I'm going to select, I'm gonna say 20, right? All of them, they're going to, and by the way, the limit is 32. I'm gonna create 20. I'm gonna put them all in one US East 1A. And I'm gonna enable auto assign public IP. And this is the section where I need to install the Apache server, but I'm not gonna do that. Okay? I'm not going to do that. So I'm just gonna pretend that I forgot it, right? Or that I don't need it right now. So I'm gonna need it later, right? So I'm gonna look for the role that allows me to manipulate these guys, right? So I'm gonna look for demo, EC2 role for SSM. I wanna attach it, right? This makes a huge difference, this role that I'm attaching here, right? Now I continue with my creation. The storage is gonna be 8 gigabytes, that's fine. Add a tag. And then the tag they're gonna use is name, and I'm gonna say SSM managed instance, okay? That's the tag that I'm gonna use, okay? I'm gonna configure the security group, and I think I have one that contains, maybe, no, I don't. This is the one from the Elastic Balancer. I don't wanna mix them up, so I'm gonna use a different one. So instance security group, way, and web instance security group. I'm gonna add HTTP, right? And I want to use my IP address for SSH, right? And I'll say this allows access via port 22. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And this is port 80. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's my security. Okay, the description, I'm going to use the same as the name, but I'm going to separate this into words, right? Which I cannot do in the security group name. Spacing is not allowed in the name, right? Review and launch. So now I review this. Perfect. Launch, I'm going to use the key that I have, right? And launch the instance as well. I'm going to be overwhelmingly when I see, I'm really surprised when I see all these guys in the independent state. This is absolutely crazy, as you can see now, right? And I'm not in the free tier anymore. I have to be careful with this. I have to delete them as soon as possible, right? And there's some that are running already. Let's wait for all of them to be running, right? Almost all of them, almost. And now we see.
Can you only make 32 instances at once?
That's
So you can like make another 32, or can you only have 32 instances at one time?
No, the limit in your account is 32.
Oh, wow, okay.
32 in total combined. Okay. You can check Trusted Advisor and see the service limits there. By the way, let us do it.
I guess that's why organization, like when you have AWS organizations, they want to connect all these accounts so they don't have those limits, you know?
Yeah. Trusted Advisor, let us take a look at the service limits and let us look for EC2. Right? So you see here on demand instances, we have the limit is EC2 limits, depending on the region. I think I saw them already here. Okay, where are they? On demand. 20 reserved. Okay. It was 20 before, they increased it to 32, right? But I don't see them here. It's 32. Okay. So now that we have all the instances running, right? All of them are running. There's one shutting down. Who shut this down? It's one shutting down here. One of the managed instances. All right, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Right now, I can go as Systems Manager in under Fleet Manager, right here, Fleet Manager, right? And I'm able to see all the instances here, right? So I have like 2 pages of instances. You see, I have 20 instances there, right? So they are visible now because they have the role, right? And the role makes it possible to do that, okay? Now that I have all the instances there, I'm gonna go back to my dashboard and put them behind a load balancer, okay? So load balancer, I'm gonna create a classic load balancer, perfect. Create a classic load balancer. I'm gonna call it my strong hold classic load balancer. Because this guy is loading, distributing the load to 20 instances. That's a strong guy, right? Load balancer. Okay. Default VPC, that's fine. It's not internal. Assign security group. I'm going to use this one that I used before, right? And I'm going to continue, health check, that's fine. And add the EC2 instances. So I'm going to select all of them, right? 19 instances. Cross zone, I don't need it because it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it there, but all of them are in the same availability zone. I don't need this guy, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So no tagging, review, perfect, and create an instance. Okay, perfect. So now my guy has 0 out of 19 instances in service. Now, the health check is looking for the index.html file. I don't have them. Should I have done this after installing the Apache server? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So let us go ahead now. So I have 20 instances behind Untitled Load Balancer. Let us go ahead now and install the Apache server in our instances. Okay. So now that I have these guys here, let us go back to the console and let us look for something called documents. Okay. The documents contain scripts that you can use to do things like apply chef recipes, attach IAM to instance, attach an EVS value, apply patch baseline. You can do so many things. You have like a lot of pages here that you can configure CloudWatch, configure Docker. Maybe you want to install Docker in all the instances. That's something we can do in another video. Or maybe in a bucket, you want to configure S3 bucket versioning, or create a DynamoDB backup. You can do so many things with this copy snapshot. So many things that you can do with this guy, right? So we're gonna look for something called run shell, right? Run shell script, okay? And this is basically like creating a script, a shell script in your user data. But we're gonna do it only one time. It's gonna be applied to every single instance, okay? So right now, let me take a look at this guy, if it's show out of service, okay? It didn't pass because it was looking for the index.html. That's the check. If you take a look at the health check, it's looking for this particular file. Doesn't exist, right? But that's okay. Now we continue here. Perfect. So now what we're gonna do is this is just the information, the description of that. We can see the content. It's gonna run all this on your EC2 instances, the version, the details, the commands, working directory, things that we're not interested in now. We're interested in running the command, right? Now, documents work with the run command feature of Systems Manager as well. So you can do it several ways. You can do it from here. You can do it for documents. It's going to end up in the same place, right? So let us run the command. Now, when I run the command, it's going to give me a section here when I can type the command that I'm going to run, or the script that I'm going to run. So I'm going to go ahead and do some scripting here, right? So I'm going to say the following. Okay. I want to say here yum -y install HTTPD, right? And this is the first version by default, the first version of this document, okay? Now, and by the way, you can create your own documents too. There are documents owned by Amazon, there are documents owned by you, there are documents shared with you, right? I'm going to say system CTL. I'm going to say, and by the way, I want to do something here real quick. I want to SSH in one of the instances so I can show you something. Right, I'm going to open this guy, and then I want to split the screen into two. I want to put this guy to the left, and I want to put this guy to the right. Okay, perfect. I want to make the string a little bigger for this guy. And I'm going to SSH into my instance. So let me get one of the instances here and SSH into them, right? Get the IP address of this one, for example, right? I want to move to the desktop. That's where my key is. I want to say SSH, and I'm going to paste the new IP address. I want to say yes. I'm logged in. And guys, I want to see you. I want to show you the metadata. I say sudo-I, become a root user. And I want to show you the metadata. So I want to say curl HTTP, and then 169, 254, 169, 254, latest, and then metadata. Okay, so these are all the categories that I can get from the instance using this metadata URL. Okay, all of the things, these are values. Why do I want this? Because I want to differentiate the instances when I use the last load balancer, right? So those are things that we can get from there. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Systems Manager, and I'm going to continue creating this. Okay, so systems CTS start HTTP, HTTPD, and then system enable HTTPD. We want to start enable this as a server. And now is when we're going to get some data here, right? So let me get the public IP. So let me some spaces here. Public IP v4, right? So I'm going to get that guy. I'm going to put this inside parentheses. I'm going to say curl HTTP, and I'm going to use the same URL here. I want to say 169, right? 169, 254, 169, 254, and then we're going to say latest metadata, and I'm going to get the public IPv4, just like it says here. So I can copy this, right? And I can paste it here, right? So there, that would give me the public IPv4, right? If I just copy this guy, right, and I paste it here, right, I get it's right here, right? So that will give me the IP, the public IP. Okay. Let me get something else. Let me get public the image ID. Image ID. I'm gonna copy this guy, right? And here, I'm gonna get the AMI ID from here, right? Right. So I'm just getting this information here, right? Let me. What else can I get? Maybe security groups.
By the way, on line 3, do you need system CTL?
I do. Thank you. Okay, good. Very good. Maybe what else can we get? The host name, instance type, maybe instance type. Okay, why not instance type? Okay, so we can say instance type. Well, instance type no, because it's the same for all of them. So I'm gonna use something that guys, I'm gonna mute you all. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna use something like the host name. Okay, something that changes per instance, right? So I'm gonna use this and say host name here. Okay. What else can we get here? Something that makes the difference, placement, instance type, instance ID, and that's it. That's all we need for now. So we're gonna get this, right? And then here we can say instance ID, okay? And here we say instance ID, okay? That's it. That's all we need for now. Now we're gonna print that. So we're gonna say echo, and then, and everything that is echo here is going to be redirected to, like we've done before, like var www HTML and then index.html. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to open HTML and we're going to close HTML. Okay, but we're going to open H1 and we're going to close H1. Right? So we're going to say, well, the instance ID is going to be instance ID. Right? Then we have a line break. Right? Line break. And then we say the instance, well, image ID is going to be image ID. So we are referring to the variable, okay? Line break. Public IP, right, is going to be this one here. And I put a line break, yes. And then line break. And now we have the host name, host. Okay, so we have the 4 values there. Perfect. So we have a line break, image ID, line break, public IP, line break, hostname, line break. So that is perfect. That's all we need here. And what's going on here? Okay. Yeah. So now that we have that, we can go ahead here and continue the process. So now I can make this smaller, right? I continue this, right? Perfect. So now say working directories is optional. Execution timeout is, this is in seconds. We have 1 hour here. Oh, that's fine. There's a default one. We can find the targets. The targets, we can find them by tags. We can find them manually or through a resource group. Okay. So let me go ahead and create a resource group, guys, so you can see how resource groups work. So I'm going to type here resource group. Okay. So that's going to take us to the resource groups and tag editor. Okay. So I can create a resource group right now. I don't think I have any. Okay. I'm going to create a resource group, and the resource group is going to be based on tags or CloudFormation stack base. Okay. So what is my resource? My resource is going to be an instance, right? An EC2 instance. Okay. Because you can create resource groups for every service that is in this resource type list, right? I'm going to create one for EC2 instances. So what is the tag? The key is name, and the tag is going to be SSM managed instances. Okay, now I can preview the group resources, and it's going to show me the 20 instances here. Okay, so this is going to be my resource group with all these instances, and this is going to be web, right? Web servers resource group, right? Okay, so this resource group contains web servers. Okay, create the resource group, and this is not correct because spacing is not allowed, right? And then that create a resource group that contains 20 instances. If I click on this, I will be able to see all the instances here, right? This is to organize my resources, okay? So now when I go back to Systems Manager, I can go ahead and find these guys by resource group. You see? That's it. All of my instances are there, right? Or I can find them manually, right? And select them all, right? You see there, right? And go to the second page and continue selecting, right? You see? That's manual, right? But let me choose a resource group. That's going to be much faster. Okay, that's fine. Go back to resource group. We make sure that we have all the instances there. So you can see 20 instances. Okay, perfect. Now we continue, right? Continue this. And we just continue. We don't need the rate control. This is for 50 targets. Specify the number of percentage of targets on which to execute the task at the time. 50 targets, I only have 20, that's fine. I'm not gonna enable any S3. I don't wanna write all commands output to an Amazon S3 bucket. I don't want that. It gives me the command, sorry, CLI here. Look at this. I can do all this with all my instances, right? From the CLI, right? I don't want that. You see the web server resource group here, everything. I can grab this right now, and paste it in the CLI, and I will get the same results, okay? But I don't want that, okay? So let's go ahead and run the command. Now we're ready. So we have the instances, the targets here. We have the command that's gonna be run. It's gonna be run on every instance, and we're ready. So we go ahead and run the command. So now it's pending, right? This won't take long because it's, you see, in 19 instances is a success, right? You see how fast that was? Imagine that I had to go, instant by instance. That would be absolutely crazy. So let me go back to this guy. And now that I have here inside, I can go ahead and maybe cd into var, right? Let me clear the screen. And I see now that I have a www folder created. So let me cd into www. And I see that I have an HTML folder that didn't exist before, right? And now let me SSH or cd into HTML. Oh, that's incorrect, HTML. And I see that I have an index.html file. And if I ls or I cat that index HTML file, I will be able to see that I have everything that I created before. You see? Perfect, right? And it has the information. This is the actual instance ID. This is the actual AMI ID. This is the IP address, and this is the host. So it works, right? It works. Now let me go ahead and see it in the browser, right? Let me see it in the browser, right? So I believe that Mr. Load Balancer is going to be a show that now my instances are in service because it finds that. So There you go, guys. This is the first one. So if I choose all of them, if I choose all of them, they will show something. Like, let me go ahead and go back to the load balancer and see what's going on here. Instances 0 of 19, maybe has to write maybe. Remember, there's sending checks based on this. Is gonna this is gonna be every 30 seconds. It's gonna send a check. Okay, instances here. If they don't come back, you know, in service, we will have to re-register them again. So still waiting for that. Remember that this guy is not working with auto scaling, right?
Can you go back to the IP address you pasted?
Okay.
I don't have an image ID.
Did you add it? Did you add it to the script?
I copied everything you had in the command line thing.
Okay.
Maybe there's a typo.
John, maybe take a look at the user data. Go to this to the EC2 instance, and then right-click and find the settings and see if the user data contains that. Okay. Okay. So I guess we have a problem here. It's not recognizing that. So what we're gonna do is maybe remove them from the load balancer, right? Well, this is a very tedious process here. So edit instances, and then we come here, right? So I can go ahead and they're all running. Okay, so I'll just remove them. They're gone, right? And now I can go ahead and edit the instances at the back. This is at the back, and we save them. Let's see. So now they are in the process of registering already. Let's see what happens. It should be fine now. It should be fine. See, they're in service, all of them, right? So now what I have to do is get the last little balancer DNS right here, DNS, and instead of choosing this guy, I just get this guy, and you see this, 20 guys, these different guys, 20, 20, 20. So it's just distributing the traffic to all the 20 instances, right?
I have a question, Professor.
Yes, go ahead.
What if you had to create like let's say 100 EC2 instances?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still gonna be using just one elastic load balancer?
It depends. It depends.
I mean,
you would see an load balancer can load as many instances as you have here.
So what if you have two? Is it gonna be conflicting?
Two load balancers?
Yeah.
No, it's not a problem. You just register the instances that need to be that load balancer. Remember, it works with instances or target groups. If it is a network or application load balancers, they use a target group. So the instances, they need to be in a target group. If it is a classic load balancer, you register the instances directly, like we did now. So the instances that are registered to this guy, they won't conflict with the elastic load balancer, another elastic load balancer, because that elastic load balancer, we have its own instances. So there's no conflict. But why would you have one instances registered to two load balancers? That doesn't make sense.
Right? I mean, maybe to avoid downtime.
What do you mean to avoid downtime?
I mean, like, if you over provision a lot of instances, like it's gonna be weighing. It's gonna be okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you can have, I mean, you see here, there's no, you don't see any latency here. You see?
Yeah, I know. I was just asking, like a well
Yeah.
architected framework. I mean, I don't just asking to know if it's a clever idea to to have multiple load balancers.
The more load balancers you have, the more you're going to pay.
Oh, so the problem now is cost.
Yes.
I get.
Because the last load balancers are not free, right? They may
So
be
what?
part of the free tier, but they're not free. You have to pay for that. So the more high availability is costly. So I have to pay for it, right? Load balancer, it contributes to the high availability of your application. So you have more availability zones, you're gonna pay more. You have more regions, you're gonna pay more. You have more elastic load balancers, you're gonna pay more. You spin up more instances with an auto scaling group, you're gonna pay more. Right? High availability is paid. You have to pay for it. Right? It's gonna be better for your business. It's gonna be better for your users, but you have to pay for more. Right?
Hey, Professor, can you update the command in the documents?
You cannot, because this is not something that I created for myself. This is something that I run. I didn't even give it a name, right? So let me see here.
I see that I forgot to capitalize the D. That's why the image ID wasn't showing. I was wondering if I can go back and just edit that.
Try to run it again, and it will overwrite the first one.
I can do rerun.
Yeah. If you copy and
Oops,
paste.
no, cancel.
So I can create my own documents, right? Create a document here, right? So the command is such argument, right? So you can have something YAML or something here, right? But I didn't create that one. So that will be automation probably. This is so great to do automation here, right? With the builder, right? But this is something else, okay? Now, guys, that's how we're done with this video. That is how, I'm gonna take questions now if you want, but that's how you install an Apache server in multiple instances at a time, okay? You can see here, it's just loading, balancing the load. Guys, who tells me what's the next step for me not to access my instances directly, but through the Elastic Load Balancer? What's the next step?
You have to go to the security group and do what is it called? TPC, whatever. No, not TPC. Is it TCP? TCP, all TCP, and then you have to specify that it's only open to that DNS. Is that how you do it?
I don't know. You tell me. Anyone else? So I come to security group. I come to security group here. I edit inbound rules. And instead of having 80, right? I just choose all traffic or all TCP.
Yeah,
right?
all TCP, and then you have to specify
The security group of the ALB.
Yeah, that one. That's what I was trying to say.
Right? That's it. So now my security group has, the only source is the Elastic Load Balancer.
How do you do it for all of them though? Because there's only one of the instances.
That's it. All of them have the same security group.
Oh, okay.
You all change it once and that's it. And we apply to all of them because they're using the same security group, right? So now I go back to one of the instances and I just grab the IP address of one of them. This one, for example. And now I try to, and it will time out, right? All of them will time out. This one will continue to work. right? Okay. So now what I have to do is clean up, and go ahead and select all the instances, terminate them, right? Go to the last load balancer and delete the last load balancer. Right?
So, Professor, if if you have
That's
just
it.
if you have just like two instances, is it necessary to use the run shell, or you just go?
If you have two instances, you have a choice. If you want to go ahead and install them both one by one, install the Apache server one by one. That's fine. You can still use Systems Manager, right? It's only two instances. It's not that much, but it's very unlikely that a company has only one or